Captains, welcome back to the channel, regardless of which it is. Glad to have you. I am the resident captain around these parts. You can call me Captain Cash the Stampede. And today we're getting back into builds. Now, we have done 2 builds so far this season. Links are on the top right of the screen right now, and there will also be links at the end of today's video. So if you're looking for a good Sam Book build, or if you are a support main and you want a really good Bark build, we got you covered. But today's video is going to go over some of the builds that I have not shown off, or done videos, I should say, this season. Specifically because maybe they weren't as powerful as I wanted them to be, maybe they weren't as effective as I wanted them to be. Regardless, they just didn't make it to video potential. So I thought it would just be a good idea to show them all off today in one large build video. Now, special shout out to Chester P. He is a frequent commenter here on the channel and a member of the Discord, the Moonshine Armada. There's a link down in the descriptions if you feel like you want to join us. But Chester, just like myself, he is a build aficionado, and he has put together something that we were going to show off a few weeks ago, but I wanted to wait for the Vikram Rajan fight to show up because it's a really, really good build to take on this particular captain with. But let's stop rambling and get into the builds for today's video. If you have any questions or just builds you want to talk about yourself, hey, jump down into the comments and let's talk about it. So first up today will be the community submission that I mentioned from Chester P, a ship that I have named the Wicked Wench. Jump into the comments if you get the reference. Now, we all know that there were some unfortunate nerfs recently, and some of those were targeted towards the Schooner. If you do have this ship, it is very good at just being a powerful ship, or a ship that has powerful broadside potential. On its own, it turns any weapon that you put on the broadsides into an explosive weapon, which allows you to free up space for ascendancies. So in case if you want to make something more powerful, or if you're just going in a different direction and you want your explosions to be the cherry on top, so to speak, you can go that route. Or again, you can just focus up and make them even more explosive. But regardless, there's a lot going on here. Increases damage to structures, increases damage to weak points. Weapon hits have a chance of triggering Fury, which got nerfed. You can the ship just gets stronger during that period of time, as it shows there. Boosts the weapon damage by 20%, and broadside can trigger random explosions. It's just a really good ship, even though it did recently get nerfed. If you go full 6 of 6, or sorry, if you go level 6 of 6 for your upgrades, that'll give you volatile. All weapons equipped on the broadside will deal 20% bonus explosive damage, and decreases explosive weapon reload time by 10%. So again, you put an explosive weapon on the side of this, you're getting some bonuses, but if you choose not to, again, you're still not hurting yourself. Damn fine ship on its own. But what Chester has done here is design the ship to be a bit more useful in a fight. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do is pick up the Tanasha. Currently, right now, it is available in the Smugglers Network with William Blackwood. This will allow you to reduce the buildup of negative status effects by 10% every second when you are bracing. If the effect is already active, the duration is reduced instead. Now, this is a great ship or a great piece of armor to use against Vikram Rajan, like I said at the beginning of the video, because he has a very, very poisonous attack that can hurt you quite a bit. But if you use that armor, and if you were lucky enough to pick up the emergency locker, this will also reduce the duration of all damaging status effects applied to your ship by 50%. So while you're bracing, you're gonna, of course, have that time reduced even more because of the Tanasha. This also, unfortunately, does increase the damage dealt by these effects, but only by 15%. And keep in mind, this is status effects. They do tick damage at worst, and the only ones that do damage over time is going to be fire, is going to be your storm struck, and your poison effect that you're getting from Vikram Rajan that I was mentioning. Of course, poison that you get from the Fleet of Pestilence. But I think that's it. Torn Sails doesn't give you it over time. Flooding actually gives you damage over time, so that's another one. But Torn Sails does not. Um, Shell Shock does not. It just stops you from being able to shoot. And I think I may be forgetting one more, but again, you get the idea. So they last a shorter amount of time, but you're only getting small amounts of tick damage. So again, you get them shorter, and this is the whole goal of this build. Also reduces incoming secondary damage by 10%, and you get a little bit of love to your maximum whole health. Now, that is one of the big features of this build is these two pieces of equipment. You also are going to want to go with, and it was nicer before it got nerfed, but the breach lock furnace, because this is going to increase the secondary damage dealt the closer you are to a target, but it also increases our charge rate of shell shock and increases the damage dealt by the shell shock status effect on the target by 3%. Again, nerfed, was better a few weeks ago, but this is still something good to help out, to top off some of those shell shocked effects. We're also using piercing weapons, so high velocity kegs are in the mix here. Expanding corkscrew station, because our weapons also do a bit of flooding damage. Ramrod workshop. This one was also nerfed, but we are still getting a decrease of reload time to our broadside weapons. Remember, when you have explosive weapons on the side, you also get another bonus to that. So we're trying to do our damnedest here to bring down that reload time. Secondary damage is increased on the broadside weapons. And we also are using a lot of culverin, so we got the culverin works to increase the secondary damage even more by 19%. Now, what culverins have Chesta gone with? Basilisk 3. Now, I believe 1 and 2, Basilisk 1 and 2 are something that you can purchase from some of the world vendors. But I think 3 is something that you can get from Helm only. Jump into the comments if you know for sure, because I unfortunately did not look this up before the video. But good news is Basilisk 3 are something that most of the community has the blueprint for. I mean, hell, if you come by our channel on Saturdays, if you don't have a Basilisk 3, you can join us during our Pirate Alliance stream. I can make some for you. I can give some to you if I happen to have some spare ones. We can get you hooked up. But Basilisk 3 is going to give you an increased charge rate of vulnerable, so that helps you do crew attacks more often. But we really want the piercing here. Now, on my bow, I'm going with full piercing, all right? It has piercing on its own, piercing 2, but I've added in sharpened, amplified piercing, and long arm, which will make my guns more powerful at range. You're probably thinking why we didn't go with a long gun here, but you're getting 4 gun ports out of this Basilisk, and I have to say the Schooner does a pretty good job of having all 4 shots be pretty central when you fire them off. So this is a really, really good way for you to use to not only induce a large amount of piercing to a ship, but I do think it is a good sidestep if you want to kind of put the long guns away. Plus, they did get nerfed recently, so that's another reason why it's off of here. But 4 on the front, from the Basilisk, and then you get 8 from the broadsides. But we've gone with flooding on the broadside. Now you're still getting piercing too, but we have rupturing and amplified flooding and overflow, turning all of our flooding damage into severe damage that cannot be healed. This is really powerful, and looking at the numbers here, I mean, we're getting over 500 for all of the damages here. Some of them are, as you see, the flooding is close to 600. But this is really, really good damage going out, and you're adding in a lot of status effects. You're going to have a ship, once they become shell-shocked, they can't shoot at you, and then once they become flooded, they take increased they take severe damage, and then when they're pierced, they take increased damage. So all 3 of these going out at the same time. Very, very effective. I've done the same thing on our starboard and port sides, rupturing, amplified flooding, and overflow. On the rear, dealer's choice. I've just gone with a Klein Carto. I had one sitting around. It looks like it actually dropped with rupturing on it, so I just threw this one on here as a nice little cherry on top, but go with what you like on your stern. Auxiliary weapon, repair mortar. This is becoming far more effective than you probably realize. A lot of people do still pocket the Little Grace, and hey, I am a Little Grace fan. I keep that thing on me. It's a good ass piece of equipment. But as long as you're not, stationary or moving at half sails, you can shoot this repair mortar in front of you and heal yourself. If you're going at the second speed, you should be able to get into the area of effect, the big circle. But if you're going full speed, you should be able to land this shot right on your deck and heal yourself pretty damn good. And if you happen to see a friendly ship sitting around, you can help them out too. Service is what we've gone with to increase the repair amount, blast range, which will increase the blast radius. So again, if it gives you a better chance of healing yourself. Preemptive defense. Now you're getting 50 armor for 10 seconds, which honestly we're not using it for that. Honestly, it's the increased repair amount that we get with the 13% there and the 6% here. We're closing in on 20%, and that's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're getting almost 14k per round. Between that and your health kits, you should stay pretty healthy with this build. Let's see. No, hey, there's no That's it. So shout out again to Chester P for his Schooner entry. Still something that is going to be damn good to use for a lot of your tier 2 activities, but really, really good to use against the Fleet of Pestilence. And if you are taking on Bikram Rajan, you will see that effect is on for almost, I think Chester said somewhere around maybe 5 seconds or so. You can reduce it down to in a lot of cases. So yeah, definitely a good thing to try out. I suggest you, check out the Schooner or check out the Wicked Wench. The Brig. This is one of our support ships. Now, the Bark is the end all when it comes to just a healing support ship. You just really can't get any better than that ship. But if you just want to do something different, the Imperious Rex here, my Brig, can also still help you in similar ways. You still get a lot of the healing perks that the Bark gets, but the big thing about your Brig is going to be your auxiliary weapon. This ship will not only reduce the reload time of your auxiliary weapon, also consecutive hits to a target with your auxiliary weapon increase the effectiveness. Now, you do have to use buoys, unfortunately, so if you're not a buoy fan, this may not be for you, but you can get, and from what I can tell, the buoys do more damage, and I do believe I also get a bit of reload time as well. Could be wrong about that. Again, jump in the comments if you know the full breakdown on how that works. But at the end of the day, better buoys is not a bad thing. Also, again, reduces the reload time of auxiliary weapons for those around you also. And if you happen to have a couple of healing weapons on here, the outgoing healing repair is, gets a little bit of a boost. If you go to upgrade level 6 of 6, this increases the damage and repair amount of auxiliary weapons by 15%. Now, what I've done with my Imperious Rex is made this my torpedo ship. For weapons, on the front here, I am going, or front, on the bow and stern, I should say, demi cannons, and I'm going with specifically the full Elise, and I've done nothing here other than just increase what it's already good at. Piercing 3 is what it comes with, so I got sharpened and double amplified piercing. I did the same thing on the bow and on the stern as seen here. For the side or the broadsides, I have the Dahaka torpedoes. These are the torpedoes that will penetrate through targets, so it allows you to not only hit multiple targets, but if you do a lot of content and there are other captains around, this will allow you to shoot directly through them and still hit your target. Damn good thing to do if you are just concerned with the amount of DPS you're doing in these large events. Once armed, once they do hit, they also reduce the armor of the target by 200, but we're not too worried about that, but it is a good feature. Flooding and piercing is what you're getting out of this. You're getting piercing 2 and flooding 2, so that's what we're increasing. We've increased it with amplified flooding and amplified piercing. I've gone with reach just to make them shoot out a little bit farther, and I'm doing the exact same thing on both sides, right? So, pretty straightforward. I mentioned the buoys already, so of course we have a mine spring loader in tow. If you are a fan of the Infernal Maw, hey, do what you do, but I'm not focusing on fire here, mainly flooding, as we just pointed out with our weapons. Flooding 2 comes on your mind spring loader. I've added in rapid reload so that I get them out even more. I mentioned that this is one of the features of the Brig, so we have ourselves a reload time of less than 15 seconds, not too damn shabby. Durable buoys, which will increase the operation time of our buoys by 20%, and overflow, again, you saw this on the Schooner. We're just turning all of our flooding damage into severe damage. This way, the ships we take on cannot get their full health back, only the health that has not been damaged by our severe attacks. When it comes to armor, I've just went with the classic, the Ouroboros. This just allows me to turn damage that I brace into whole health, and it restores severe damage by 100 every second. That's really the big feature here. If you are someone who hangs out at any point in time in Tier 2, you're going to be taking some really, really impressive damage. And while it's not a lot, this is a good way to fix things and keep you from being docked so often. For furniture, I have equipment that is just going to help my buoys and equipment that is going to help my torpedoes. That's pretty much the flavor that we're working with here. Buoy Locker 1 will allow me to have 3 buoys out at once, and at less than 15 seconds per buoy, you will have a large amount of these things in play constantly. We have the increased health at by 25% also, and the reduction of the reload time. Again, this is why we're at sub 15 seconds right here, because of the final inclusion of this piece of furniture, the Buoy Locker 1. Float collars. This will increase the max health of the buoys even more by 100%. And then remember, we boosted the deployment time by 20% with the ascendancy that we did on the mine. So this will increase that even more, keeps your buoys in play for longer. Very good. Now, machinist table comes in 2 different versions. You have the machinist table for mines, and you have one for the repair buoys. We're using the ones for mine here because that will increase our minefield buoy damage by 20%. My ship is beyond level 6 of 6, so I am getting the increased damage right there by 15%, I think it was. And the area of operation has been increased even more. So that's what we're doing to help our buoys out. When it comes to our torpedoes, Tuning Station 1 increases the secondary damage, increases the projectile speed, and you get a nice boost to your crew stamina per second when you're out of combat. Weird thing to add on here, but I'm not mad at it. And we also are going with, what did I see? Oh, well, we'll do that in a second. Torpedo works. Increases secondary damage of your torpedoes by 19%. Now, some of you are probably wondering why I'm not going with the tuning rack. Well, this just increases the range, the arming distance, and projectile speed of your torpedoes, which is not bad. And if I wasn't already focusing so much on the buoys, I would add this in too. But again, right now, I'm looking for damage, so we've gone with the works. Final piece is the rifled barrel workshop. This will increase the charge rate of the punctured status effect on enemies already affected by the flooding status effect. As you saw, that is the 2 things that our weapons, our broadside weapons, are going to be doing a lot of. And then once a ship has the unfortunate pleasure of being flooded, I can come around with my demi cannons and it's just increase the piercing damage just in case, or the piercing effect if it isn't already maxed out. This has been really, really a fun build to mess around with. Again, I didn't feel like it was super meta, or honestly, I thought there may be a chance that something like this may already be out there. So with that in mind, I thought I'd just keep this one in my pocket until today. Thought I'd show it off to you. So fans of the Brig, I hope you do enjoy the newest version of my Imperious Rex. If you have been just completely disgusted by the Schooner nerfs, my friend, let me reintroduce you to the Paddy. This is your original medium ship, and just in case you have forgotten how good it is, I'm here to help you with that. This thing is considered a floating siege engine, and it hits harder when it is anchored, but it also does the same thing while at half sails. But this ship will allow explosive hits to have a 70% chance of dealing a massive explosion of 1,000 damage within 125 meters of the ship. If that ship is on fire when you are attacking it with explosive damage, there is a 100% chance that that explosion will hit. And you also get a bonus damage to structures, and your weapon damage radius just increases by a flat 12%. If you go ahead to level 6 of 6 with your upgrades at half sails or anchored, as I mentioned, the ship will get even more damage, an even greater damage increase. You'll get a 35% increase with any weapons that you are using, and your reload time for explosive weapons is brought down by 15%. This thing is still a beast, and if you do it right, yeah, you can put out some serious damage. Now, this is where my Lang cartos have been resting ever since the season started. The moment I unlocked these from my season pass, I put them right over here on the ship, because the Lang carto also has the ability to make a random ass explosion. Of course, you get the same thing out of the Schooner, but over here it is you get 1,000 damage from the Paddy Kang, and then you can have a chance of getting 7,500 from these long guns. If they both go off close to or around the same time, my friend, it is just an explosive treat and just super bad for anything that is too close to the ship. On the stern, I got the Klein Carto, so you know we do have the Carto fam being represented over here. But what we are doing is not only trying to make things explode often, but this is where my crew attack build lies. I've added in Raider to my weapons, and if you are a fan of anything crew attack related, my friend, this being added into Ascendancies is just really exciting, because if you do it right, you can pretty much stun lock a ship into not being able to attack you for a good bit of time, or you can heal your ship and repair severe damage, like you will see here in just a moment. But both of my broadsides have the Lang Carto, and I just went with the simple incendiary so we can keep the ship burning, and as I mentioned, Raider so we can get that vulnerable effect. I did it on both sides. Clearly, this is an explosive weapon, because that is one of the big features of this gun, so we are getting explosive 2 on both sides of the ship with that. On the front, you're gonna think I'm a psycho, and you're probably gonna think I added this on because of the recent buffs to Seafire, but nope, I have been rocking Seafire since year 1, and I think I had gotten either combustion or Raider on this as a normal drop, and then added in the rest, high pressure, which allows me to have better range, and then, like I said, one or the other of these two. But I thought, man, what a good idea. I could add combustion to this, and then while I'm setting a ship on fire, I can also increase the charge rate of combustion. Just, it felt like a good idea, because I do feel like this weapon, like Seafire weapons, do a great job of just, you know, adding a blaze to your ship in a faster rate than other weapons. At least that's how I feel. I have no proof of that. Again, I just feel that way, so I thought it would be a good idea to do that with combustion. Raider is the same thing. It just allows me one more way to add Raider to your ship so that I can get that vulnerable status on you, so I can do a crew attack. But that's pretty much what's going on the front. Again, we already mentioned the Client Carto. So far, I've only gone with Rapid Reload. As you see, very few Ascendancy things going on with this ship. That's why, it hadn't made it to a full video, because it's kind of unfinished in a way. But moving on to auxiliary, we have Rocket 3 on here for the fire, and plus regular rockets just are really, really good right now. If you're not using them, give them a try. They just do, they're easier to hit. They used to be really, really hard to add to attack with, but no, things have changed. Check them out. I've added in combustion, just kept things nice and simple. I'm adding fire and explosive damage on. Nothing too life-changing there. For armor, this is where things start to get close, or start to work with the crew attack. We have the Crimson Lotus. Anytime you use a crew attack, you're increasing your broadside weapon damage by 33%, and you're getting your stamina recovery gets increased by 100% for 15 seconds. Nice little feature to have, but since we're already should be moving around at half sails or anchored, you're just going to increase that broadside damage even more right after your crew attack. When you make it over here to furniture, here it is again, crew attack. We're using the Scrapper Station, And where are you? Oh no, I'm not using that over here. Different ship. Scrapper station only. So this will restore 8,000 whole health after a crew attack. Considering this ship is built for crew attack, you're going to be stun locking the ship and keeping your ship healthy. The only problem is the Padawan King is just not too big on health. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it has 5200, but the brace strength is at 10 grand, and it's really easy for that to be broken. And I find myself in a situation where even though I can heal myself consistently with the crew attacks, tier 2 is just very aggressive. So yeah, did want to point that out, why that is being used in that way. Good, just not great. Followed up by the breech lock furnace. We've already mentioned the bad things that have happened to some of these pieces of furniture, which I'm using both ramrod and breech lock. But should be no surprise. This is an explosive ship, so we do want to increase the charge rate of shell shock and combustion as best that we can. So we have both of these on here. I also am boosting the rocket effectiveness with the organ harvesting station. This will increase the rocket damage by 5% for every 20% of whole health missing on a player ship. So it says a player ship, it's an enemy ship, so don't get too caught up in that description. But it's okay to use it when the thing is at full health. Just make sure you're using it more often when they are not at full health. Quarter health, half health, 3/4 health. Any of that is going to make this rocket more effective. You also get secondary damage of the rocket being increased by 10%, and the reload time is brought down, which gets us to, because I actually didn't pay attention to that, 19 seconds. So it's 20 seconds. Without that, you're knocking off a full second. Not too shabby. Again, Ramrod Workshop. But the final things here, because I just love making my Padawan Kang super powerful, I went with the port and starboard kegs, powder kegs. This will just give us a 10% bonus on our broadsides. Since we do get a little bit of extra love when we are moving around at half sails, and we get even more love after a crew attack, yeah, you can put some powerful shots out on this. Again, nothing meta, nothing life changing, nothing, that has any god rolls or anything on it. Just a really solid, fun build for me, a Padawan King enthusiast. So if you are a Padawan King enjoyer, try this one out if you have not already. Finally, the ship that will wrap up today's video, my flagship, my bae, my best girl, the Almighty. This has been a rough season for me so far because I love my snow, but right now the meta just is so opposite of what the snow can do. It has been really tough for me to find some lane for this ship to sort of just exist in. I'm hoping that changes next season. Maybe our large ship ends up bringing us some more defensive focused furniture, making things a little bit easier for us to survive out in the world, but we won't know for sure until next season launches. Plus we have PvP, which kind of creates this whole balancing triangle, or tango I should say, this dance of trying to keep the game in balance, but we'll see how that plays out. Regardless, the snow, if you didn't already know, this is one of our tanks. It does a great job of taking damage and bracing against damage because it has the best brace strength recovery in the game. You recovers brace strength by 5% per second while bracing, also increases brace strength by 150% and brace strength recovery by 100%. If you go to ship level 6 of 6, you get the very lackluster perk called Vindictive, which will give you increased weapon damage by 20% for 20 seconds. I wish it gave us more or lasted longer or did something, because bracing damage, which is super easy to do in this ship, is, something you will do a lot of, but in tier 2, that's really all you can do is just brace against damage. You need some sort of game-changing perk here that allows you to come out of bracing and at least interrupt the enemies in some way. I'm not sure why I'm going into this right now, but I thought that I would mention it here. Jump into the comments and let me know what you think would make our snow better, snow enthusiasts. But anyway, what I've done with this ship has been, again, rough, but I've gone with just survivability. Everything that this ship does is focused on either giving it health or reducing your ability to get health again. Now, what I mean by that is going to be shown here from the perks. All my weapons, unfortunately, you may not be able to get them. They're not available, and I don't think they will be available again until the Halloween event comes up. But we have the Nashcar and the Hellports. They have a perk on them called Ghastly Mending and Phantom Mending. And I believe that you can add in something called Soul Mending. Yes. Um, these perks allow your outgoing damage to be turned into a very small amount of incoming healing for your ship. Nashcar comes with 5%, so I've added in Soul Mending here to give it 10%. So 10% of my damage that I do comes back as health. Also, if I hit a, where is it? If I happen to hit a weak point, that repair amount is boosted up to 700%, which sounds impressive, but it's not great. It's okay. It's good if there is something like a fort that you're taking on, or some of our elite captains that have a lot of weak points for you to target, and they are, they stay there for quite a long time. But, outside of that, you're not really going to be getting a lot of health back from this. Um, Hellports, they already come with 10%, so I left that the same. As you see here, no soul mending. We have repair readiness. We'll go over what that does here in a second, but just wanted to show you I don't have that there. Phoenix Talons, I do have it on the rear. Soul mending. And on my Warhammer, yeah, soul mending. So every single time I attack someone with this ship, I'm getting health back, right? Sounds like it would work really good, and it is okay in tier 1, but in tier 2, it needs to be more. I don't know if I can have the developers maybe change these numbers when you go into tier 2, like maybe I get double everything I have on here, which would make things more effective, but yeah. Good in tier 1, meh in tier 2. But that's because it's just really, really aggressive over there. Now, another thing I'm doing, as you just saw, repair readiness, and that is also at every single position on this ship, because every outgoing shot that I make will reduce the time of our repair kits. I wish it said it right here on the actual repair kit itself, but I use repair kit 2. It only gives me 1600 health per repair kit, but I have to wait wait out a 60-second cooldown in order to use another one of these. Now, what repair readiness does is this will give me a chance at getting 3%. Oh, didn't mean to do that. At getting 3%. Hold on. Or sorry, 3 seconds cut off of that time if repair readiness activates. So, considering that I'm using this perk at every single position on my ship, there is always a chance that repair readiness is going to hit and it's going to knock down my cooldown by 3 seconds. I believe that I'm working with a cooldown that puts me at about 45 seconds. Like, I can knock out 15 seconds of that repair kit time in no time at all. It seems like, I mean, you have 11% chance here and even less of a chance over here on your broadsides. Look, 9.3%. What did I get on this side? Oh, 13%. So I should, oh, no. Sorry. I'm being foolish. 11% here because I only have the one. But over here, I've gone with double repair readiness, 9 and 10% on this side, and I have 12 and 13% on this side. So close to 25% of a chance of it happening over here, and just under 20, no, just around 20% of a chance over here on my starboard side. Sorry, port. Anyway, happens often. Literally every volley that I do with this setup will give me a 3-second reduction of that cooldown. If things get hot and I start adding in the Warhammer as well, which does have a 20-second cooldown on its own, which means that I can probably fire off 2 of these before, I have a chance to reload. But it works. Doesn't work as often as I want to, doesn't shave it down to like 30 seconds or 20 seconds like I was, hoping it would in my mind, but it works. You will see that repair readiness pop up, you'll see your kit time go down, and again, works really good in tier 1, does a great job of making my ship very, very formidable over here. But the once things start targeting you very aggressively over in tier 2, that's when things start to break it down. But still try it out if you think that you want to go this route. Now, to top it off, we're looking at the Ouroboros yet again. We already mentioned anytime we brace, we're going to get some incoming health. Since that's the theme of this ship, this is the perfect armor to use. And again, you're restoring 100 severe damage every second if you happen to take severe damage. Don't worry, I'm sorry about my rambling and my talking. I'm almost done. We're closing in on the end here. But for furniture, this is where I am using the crew attack stuff that I thought I was using on my Padua King. First Mate's Ledger and Scrapper Station. So we've already mentioned Scrapper Station is going to give me 8 grand of hell health after a crew attack. Again, this is a self-healing ship. So even after a crew attack, of course, we're getting health back because why not? But we're also fixing our severe damage with the First Mate's Ledger. This will restore 15% of severe damage after a crew attack. Mixing this with the Ouroboros does a very good job of keeping your ship healthy. Also gives you a bit of a stamina recovery boost and increases your crew ability range, which means you can just do crew attacks from a little bit farther off. Dynamic ballast control, which I do believe did get a nerf. I think it did. I can't remember, but this is something I put on my ship immediately. I hate piercing damage. The piercing in this game is fucking insane. So I put this on and it has helped. If it's been nerfed, then it's not helping as much as it used to, but still a damn good piece of armor to go with this build. Company Spirit's Locker. Any time your ship gets under any status effect, this will reduce the crew stamina depletion at the start of bracing by 20%. Apparently, you take more stamina depletion when you begin bracing. This is designed so that you probably get diminishing returns. If you're like bracing back to back to back, chances are you're just really burning down your stamina, or not chances are, you are burning down your stamina after consecutive bracings. So this helps to reduce that effect. And company screens, which will reduce the incoming area effect damage by 20%, increases your reduces incoming burn charge by 10%, which is good to have. A lot of ships use fire, but we're also getting a little bit of increased max hull health with this as well. And brace gun walls, which I know got nerfed, but was on here because what you would do is just come to a complete stop when things got dangerous, or after a crew attack, so you can, kind of reset and then get back into the mix. Again, got nerfed, not as effective as it used to be, but was the final piece of our build and the last ship that we're showing off. But that's it. Again, didn't make single videos of these, and while this is a long build video, make sure you jump down into the description because I'll have chapters for everything to make it easy for you to find what you're looking for when you revisit this video. But yeah, they just weren't meta, they just weren't effective enough for their own builds, aside from Chess's submission, because the community submission is pretty damn good. But my personal builds, they just didn't get out there because I just didn't think they, could stand on their own video. But in a video collectively, yeah, I think this is perfect. So thank you for coming by. Thank you for hanging out with us. As always, we do love you to be here. If you are someone who is looking for a crew to run with, every Saturdays we do a community stream. We call it the Great Pirate Alliance, and we just literally go into a server and take it over. Our whole, or as many of our Discord, the Moonshine Armada, we get as many of them in the servers as possible. Like, we legit have someone who starts looking for a server about an hour or so before we get going to try to find the thinnest server possible so that we can fit as many people in there as possible. So, come join us. As I mentioned, it's a great way to get gear or at least trade with someone who may have some of the stuff you need. Hell, we have captains who have been playing this game a lot, and I would not be surprised if they would just give you the thing that you need. In most cases, we just want you to sail around with us and kind of help with some of the plunders and some of the other activities we get into. That's literally the payment that we require from you to play the game with us if you are going to trade and get something for free. But come by, it's a good time. We do it every Saturday, and of course, if you have been following the channel, we also do what we can to keep you in the loop with the weekly resets. So every Tuesday you'll see a video from us showing you what has changed or rotated in and out of the stores. But that is going to do it. I have been Captain Cash of Stampede. It has been great to have you. And as always, we'll see you in the seas, Captain. Take it easy out there.